So good morning, everybody. My thought for you that I've been playing with this week is on the idea of motivation. And if you were in class on Wednesday, you heard me talk about how even those little places inside of you that are a little, not sure that they're positive. So for me, it's my competitiveness, not sure that it's positive. But it can be turned in the direction of something that is positive. It can be turned in the direction of what's going to uplift us, what's going to take us somewhere that is beyond where we thought we could go. And that's the kind of the idea of motivation in the first place, right? Is what gets you up and moving, what gets you up and willing to keep trying, even though there's so much maybe that's in front of you that feels like an obstacle or feels like a restriction. And so I came across a couple of days ago a mantra that I hadn't heard in a while, and the term that comes into that mantra is I'm probably not pronouncing it exactly correctly, but Cherdi, and it's from the Kundalini tradition. And I listened to this mantra for years. It's one of my favorite songs that Snatam Kaur put out, and I never knew what it meant. It's one of those mantras that I never actually looked up to find out what it meant, but I looked it up because it came into my awareness again. And what it actually means, or what it refers to, is an ever-rising spirit, right? The spirit of resurrection, the spirit of continuing to reach for optimism, right? Just no matter what's going on, it's that rising spirit that is continuing to reach for something that is higher. And so it occurred to me that it's like the energy that motivates a plant to reach for the sun, right? It's the energy that motivates us to get up when we think we can't possibly take another step forward. So that concept of there being an ever-rising optimism, an ever-rising reaching for something that is beyond what feels like our darkness or our limitations or whatever scares us. That's the energy to me that is really the motivating factor in a yoga practice, or that we're looking to connect with. Because it's great to take whatever's going on in our mind, but our mind is going to get stuck in itself. It's going to get stuck with what it already knows. That's what we understand about it, is that it doesn't know how to get beyond itself. But that energy that is always rising, right? That's the reason why we decide to step beyond what we already know. So on Wednesday, when I was saying, I want you to understand what motivates you, what is it in you that gets you up and going realistically? What is your motivation? Where does it come from? I want you to also be looking for, can you tap into this feeling that is beyond what your mind thinks is a good idea, and actually starts to connect to that energy that is instinctual, that's built into you, that says, even when you're sure that you can't take another breath, that you can't take another step forward, or there's nothing to be happy about, that energy can kick in and say, ever rising, right? That you can find the place in you that is forever rising, and that's forever reaching for something that's beyond what has kind of settled around you as reality, because there's always something more. And if we stop reaching into it, we stop reaching for it, that's when we start to feel disconnected. And for me, I think that's what was sort of the underlying feeling of wanting that motivation to do something else, right? To push somewhere else, because everything had become too static, too stuck, right? Too much of this is the way it is and it's not changing anymore, right? It's just staying this way. So that feeling of ever rising, can you start to tap into that? Because if you have that as your motivation, you will continuously find every corner of your life where there is potential that's been untapped, right? And that's what we're looking for, because we're constantly in that state of looking for things to be stable, but then it gets too stable, so we have to move it again, and then it becomes unstable, so we want it to be stable, and then it becomes too stable, we need to move it again. Ever rising energy, constantly resurrecting, constantly recreating, right? So I want you to look for that in yourself, is where is that feeling that no matter what's going on, you have a sense of forever rising, right? Forever rising like the phoenix. So eyes closed if you're not there already. And start to find your breath. And that might even just be it, is that the feeling of the breath becomes that image for what is forever rising. That reservoir of inner strength, inner optimism. I think that's the word that really hit me, is that it's constant optimism, eternal optimism. That whatever is there, you are rising to the very top of it, to the very peak of it. Whatever else comes through you that is motivation to do that, to rise to the top. That's how we take those abstract ideas and we make them real. If we don't feel that optimism, then we might lose the will, we might lose the desire to actually get up and move forward. So be optimistic. One more breath deep into yourself, as deep as that breath can go. And as you're exhaling, releasing the breath, bring the hands together in the front of the heart, palm to palm. Again, with that feeling of drawing into yourself that eternal optimism. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. Release the hands. Bring your hands to the front of the knees or the thighs and just begin to circle your torso. Make nice big spirals. Good. I think that image of an energy that is forever rising is a really important one. So it's not an energy that is fluctuating, right? It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that it's an energy that goes up and down or that moves like a wave. It says it is forever rising, only one direction. It only goes in one direction, and that is uplifting. Good. Move your torso the other way. You go in two directions. But to know that that energy is always going to be doing that, that there's never a question, there's never a moment that if you tap into that Cherdi Kala energy, that it's going to be somehow going a different way, that it's always going to be uplifting. It's always going to be bringing you to optimism or finding optimism in the moment. Good. And at the same time, we have the knowledge that there's the downward moving energy that is how you take the abstract, how you take the unmanifested and you turn it into something real, concrete. Come back to stillness, start to cat-cow your spine, hands still on the knees, lifting the chest up, exhaling, curling back. Good. Nice. And in a lot of the tantric literature, that downward path, right, the downward energy that brings the spirit into physical form, the embodiment energy, is it's referred to as the path of embodiment and the path of enjoyment. Right? So coming into that physicality is not a prison. Coming into that physicality or that limitation is an opportunity for joy. But if we lose that sense of optimism, it usually doesn't feel that way, right? We forget. Or you start to think that there's no way that this is the way it's supposed to be. So you tap back in that upward energy of optimism. Come back to stillness, please. Take your hands back behind your head, elbows wide. Good. So pull the elbows wide so you get that full feeling through your chest, and then press your head back into your hands. And then I want you to start to cup your elbows forward so the inner elbows come forward again just a little bit. Yeah, so you're squeezing them in so they come a little bit beyond that horizontal position. And then dig down through the tops of your elbows or dig down towards the floor so your armpits move down, your chest lifts. Good. So you have that squeezing in and the lifting of your chest. Start to tilt back into a back bend. Drop your head into your hands, but keep squeezing the elbows in. So your armpits stay awake. Your upper back stays awake. Lean back a little more. Good. Nice, you guys. And then bring it all the way back up to center, please. Stretch the arms up to the sky and then release the hands out and down. Big, long or wide fanning of the arms. Good. And then come all the way forward onto hands and knees. Beautiful. Press back, downward facing dog. So spread your fingers wide, tuck the toes, lift your hips. And then just start to pedal the feet. So alternating, bending one knee, pressing the opposite heel down, and letting your hips sway from side to side. So you're letting your pelvis move. Good. And you're keeping the hands really steady. Nice. So don't let the ribs fall towards the floor, but move the lower spine. Good. And then bend both knees a lot. Lift your heels nice and high. Bend your knees a lot towards the floor. And then pull your hips back. Really push through the arms, push through the hands. Scoop into your low belly, so you're lifting your hip points up off of your thighs, but then send your tail down towards your heels. So really drop your butt towards your heels. Good. Yeah, fold in, Jessica, even more. Good, good, good. Fold in, like you're going to drop your hips to your heels. Push back. That's it. Good, you guys. And then try to keep this feeling on your pelvis as you start to lift your hips back up towards the sky. Let your heels drop down. Good. Don't fall into that arch in your lower spine. Pull up and back. Nice. Right leg comes up and back behind you. Down dog split. Good. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Stack the right hip on top of the left. Open. Good. Draw long through that thigh. So pull the knee back in space a little bit more. And then lift that left low belly higher and wider. So the leg that's supporting you, lift it wide. That's it. Good. And then release that. Spin that knee forward. Step the right foot between the hands. Lunge. Good. Both hands come inside the front foot. Walk your fingertips straight ahead. Yep. Come all the way forward. So you're up on your fingertips. Long arms. Pull the hips back in space. Good. Back thigh does not sag. Keep it lifted. Good. So even here, you can start to feel the squeezing of the feet towards each other. And maybe with that front foot, we'll try it in a different pose in a second. So just one more breath here. Good. And then walk your hands back in, please. Good. Take your left hand to the floor. Take your right arm up to the sky. Spinal twist. Good. Flex that right foot a lot. Drop onto the baby toe edge of your foot. Let your knee go wide. Good. Keep that back knee lifted if you can. Scoop your belly and try to really send that right knee forward a little bit more, almost like you're in pigeon pose, but you're hovering. That's it. Yeah. Good, you guys. And then release. Take that right foot back to flat. Good. Release that left hand down to the floor. Beautiful. Both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your left. Come to the center of your mat. Take your legs to straight. Good. Deep breath in. Deeper breath out, bow forward. Nice, you guys. Good, and then bend your knees, please. Take your thighs back so your knees stay in line with your ankles. Your butt moves back, thighs move back. Walk your fingertips forward again so that you have almost that bent knee down dog position, and then start to cat-cow your spine. Good, but I want your thighs, you guys, almost parallel to the floor. So I want you to really drop your hips. Yep. Because by dropping your hips, you start to actually get into that real stretch of your lower back. Good. If you don't change the angle of your pelvis, you're not doing a whole lot. Nice, you guys. Beautiful. Stay light on your feet. Good. And then come back to stillness, please. Take your hips back up to the sky. Walk your hands forward even more so you're in just a wide-legged downward facing dog. So walk yourself out. Good. Inner thighs go back. And again, it's that long, long slope of your spine, but you're keeping your low belly in. You're not dropping the ribs. Beautiful. Good. And then walk the hands back in underneath your shoulders. Take your right hand down to the floor. Take your left hand to your low back. Palm facing down, fingers towards your tail. Good. Scoop into your belly, push up into your hand, then twist to your left. So turn your belly to the left. Yeah. And really move from your rib cage. So that elbow is going to want to pull back faster. Move from your armpit, move from your ribs. Good. And then release and come back to center. Left hand finds the floor. Right hand comes up to your low back. Fingers pointing towards your tail. Good. Scoop into the low belly. Again, lift those hip points up and then start to twist to your right. So you want that feeling that you are constantly pulling up through the lower spine. Beautiful. Your feet are still on the floor, but there's that feeling of rising, right? You're still in whatever moment you're in, but there's that feeling of optimism, always rising. Good. Release that hand back down to the floor, please. Nice. Walk back towards the top of your mat. Turn the right toes forward. Good. Step back to downward facing dog. Beautiful. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, please. Upward push up. Good. Drop the knees to the floor. Good. Slide forward just a little bit further so that you are towards the front edge of your knees and your armpits are coming towards the tips of your fingers, or your shoulders are coming towards the tips of your fingers. Good. So a little modified chaturanga. Start to bend your elbows, please, dropping the chest parallel to the floor, just parallel. So your elbows come to 90 degrees, no further. Good. Squeeze into those low ribs. Pull up and pull up through your low belly. Nice. Press back up to hands and knees. I know, not down. Ever rising, right? Again, slide your weight forward a little bit more, bend your elbows lower down halfway. Keep your gaze lifted slightly forward. Don't let your head drop. Pull your ribs in. Good, press back up, hands and knees. Nice. One more time, move your weight forward, bend your elbows again, keeping the arms hugging in. Good, weight is moving towards the front of your fingers, towards your knuckles. Beautiful. And then lower all the way down. Good job, you guys, everybody who is ready to push back up again. Good. Point the toes back behind you. Stretch your arms back behind you. Interlace your fingers behind your low spine. Good. Hug those upper arms towards each other. Nice. And then shrug your shoulders towards your ears. Press back through your feet. Lift up head, neck, and chest. Little bound cobra. Keep your feet on the floor. Yep. So it's just the upper back. And again, I want you to feel like you are trying to pull your front ribs in away from the floor. So you're not looking for so much of that feeling of pushing forward into the ribs, but you're trying to pull back. I want you to really get into your back muscles and less of your ribs pushing forward. That's it. Good. And then release, please. Plant the hands, downward facing dog. Good, you guys. Left leg comes up and back, down dog split. Good. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Stack the left hip on top of the right. So open up. And as you open, draw that knee back just a little bit more. So it's like you've got this straight line from your knee all the way down to your left fingertips. Good. And squeeze that heel in towards your butt. So active, active, active. Squeeze. Use your quad. Good. And then go ahead and release that. Swing the knee forward. Step the left foot between the hands. Lunge. Good. So before you, so take both hands to the inside of the front foot, but before you walk forward, pause for a second, flex the left foot, lift and spread your toes. Good. And see if you can feel that by squeezing your front heel towards your back heel, you can feel this contraction of the back of your thigh and your butt on that left side. So I want you to feel that by squeezing your legs together, you start to actively contract the back of your left thigh and your left butt cheek. Yeah, feel that. Good. Maintain that. Walk your hands forward. Come into that longer lizard position. Good. So the chest moves forward, but your legs stay super active. You don't have to keep the toes lifted, but I want you to try and continue to feel that contraction at the back of your thigh and through your butt. Good. Chest lifted a little further, you guys, so actually look up and forward. Drag your armpits back. There you go. And then walk the hands back in, please. Right hand plants, left arm to the sky, spinal twist. Good. And then flex that left foot a lot. Drop onto the baby toe. Let your left knee go out wide. Again, you can keep that. If you can keep that back knee lifted, keep it lifted. If it needs to come to the floor, let it come to the floor. Good. So I want you to really continue to push that right inner thigh wider to the right, even though your knee is falling to the left. That's it. Good, Jessica. Good, Harriet. Nice, Sarah. Release that hand back to the floor. Release that foot back to the floor. Good. Both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your right. Come back to that wide-legged stance. Turn your toes. Good. Nice, you guys. And then on your fingertips, please come up onto the balls of your feet. So lift up onto your tippy toes. Yeah, squeeze in. Squeeze in, squeeze in, squeeze in. Good. And then scoop that belly, push up through your low back, and then start to walk your hands back between your feet. Yep. So you're up on your tippy toes, but you're walking your hands backwards, even between the legs, beyond the legs. So try and reach underneath you if you can. Good. Still up on tippy toes. Squeeze those feet together. Nice. Worst case scenario is you fall into headstand. Walk yourself back. Good. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Nice. And then let your heels drop down to the floor. Stay where you are. Maybe even walk yourself another step deeper into your forward fold, but keep squeezing the legs. Good. And walk your hands forward again, out underneath the shoulders. Turn your right toes out to 45 degrees. Yep. And then start to bend your right knee, come into a side lunge. So you're bending that knee over the second or third toe of the right foot. Good. And then walk your hands towards the left, so away from that front knee. Yep. But keep pushing your knee wider to the right. So you're walking your hands towards the extended leg. Walk your torso towards the extended leg, away from that bent knee. Good. Nice, you guys. And then bring it back to center, please. Good. Take both legs to straight. Turn your right toes back forward. Good. And then go to the other side. Turn your left toes out to 45 degrees. Bend the knee. Come into the side lunge. And then walk your hands to the right. So walk away from the bent knee. Good. So you're pushing that inner knee wide and you're scooping that left butt cheek, that left sit bone back and in. So you're not letting your hips go out of that level position. Good. But I want you to move your torso away so that you're really getting that full sense of stretching the whole inner thigh up through the side body. Good. Come back to center, please. Straighten the legs again. Turn the toes forward. Nice job. Go to the first side again. Turn the right toes out. Yep. Bend the knee, come back into the side lunge. So the right toes turn out to 45 degrees. So they're not all the way out. So Sarah, turn your toes in about halfway. They're about halfway, you guys. And then the knee bends. Good. And then let yourself go a little deeper into that lunge if you'd like. For some of you, you can turn your left foot, the extended leg. You can come up on the heel. Start to rotate your butt towards the floor. Lift your chest like you're coming upright. Yeah, so you're scooping your butt towards the floor. Come up on the left heel. That's it. And again, you got to contract here. So can you contract that right thigh and butt cheek? Good. And squeeze your feet towards each other. Nice, you guys. If you've got that position down towards the floor, you can take the arms up alongside your ears. It's fun. Beautiful. Good. And then if you're low towards the floor, try this. Just come without using your hands, come up towards that high squat and move to the other side. If your hands are on the floor, come back to straight legs, turn your toes. Nice, Alice. And then change to the other side. Left toes turn out, right toes are forward, come into the side lunge. And then again, optional to come up on that right heel, take the toes up towards the ceiling. The point here is that you're changing the angle of your pelvis. So scoop into your low belly, lift your hip points, and drop those butt cheeks under. And then see if you can keep that contraction, left thigh, left butt cheek. Good, you guys. Nice. And then bring the hands back to the floor, come back to straight legs. Really good, you guys. Turn the toes forward. Good. Hang for a moment. Beautiful. Nicely done. Keep your right toes facing where they are. Turn your left toes, so start to walk towards the top of your mat. Turn your left toes forward. Keep your right foot flat. Bend your left knee. Come into warrior two. Cartwheel your arms up. Good. Nice. So come up on the ball of your front foot this time. So lift the heel. Yeah, and feel that you can let your knee go forward a little bit more over the ankle, but you're squeezing the feet towards each other. And again, can you find that feeling of contraction, back of the thigh, up into your butt? Good. Release the heel down to the floor. This time lift your toes up. So float the toes up again. Keep the ball of the foot on the floor though. So just lift the toes and squeeze back. I want you to drag that front heel towards your back ankle and see if that helps you feel that contraction at the back of your thigh. Good. And then relax the toes. Try to keep that feeling of engagement, but not clenching. Right hand down the back thigh, left palm spins up and back, reverse warrior. Good. And then stay in that reaching reverse position. Start to straighten the left leg. So come into that reverse triangle, reaching long, and lift that left hip point up off of your thigh even more. Good. And then bring yourself forward, back up to letter T, arms letter T. Reach your left rib cage forward like you're gonna reach for triangle, pause. And again, I just want you to have that squeezing of your feet and that left butt cheek is rolling under. So your knee is pushing just slightly wide. It's rolling slightly wide. And then big toe mound anchors. Good. Reach that left hand all the way down towards the floor, right arm to the sky. Just wanted you to make sure that your leg was doing what you thought it was doing before you came into the forward fold. Good. Constantly rising. So even though you are reaching down with that left hand, I want you to also be reaching up through your chest. That the energy of your pose is not one that's sinking down into the floor, but it's one that is holding itself in space. Good. That inner sense of optimism, buoyancy. That as heavy as the world might be, or maybe as intangible as it might be, that you are between those two extremes. Beautiful. Bend that left knee, please. Release the hands down to the floor. Spin your back heel up, drop your back knee. Yep. And then scoot your hips back so your right hip is on top of your right knee. Take your left leg forward to straight Ardha Hanumanasana. Come up on the heel. Good. Flex the foot. Good. And as you're flexing the foot, so you're pushing down and dragging back on the heel, like you're trying to pull that left thigh up into your hip socket, but then push back out through the ball of your foot, so like you're pushing on a gas pedal. Good. So you have this drawing in through the upper hip or through the upper thigh, but then you have this pushing out through the inner edge of the leg. So I don't want your knee to feel like it's falling towards the floor. It should feel like there's a real solid support underneath. Good. And I want you to feel like your calf muscle is engaged here. It's not just being pulled. It's actually working. Nice, you guys. Hands walk forward towards the ankle. And then optional here, if you'd like to go for the twist, start to walk towards that baby toe edge of your foot. So the right forearm comes to the outside of your left leg. So you're pressing the forearm against the leg. You can also have the hand inside the leg if that's where it more naturally rests. And then you're turning your belly to the left. And again, have that sense of pushing up through the back of your sacrum. Left hand comes to the sky, or that left hand can come back to your lower back if that makes more sense. But you're turning the shoulders. You got to turn your chest. Yeah. Squeeze the legs towards each other. Beautiful, you guys. Good. Unwind the twist, please. If you're there, come on back to center. Beautiful. Drag that heel back, come back to a lunge, and step back, downward facing dog. All those words. Nice, you guys. Good. Right foot steps forward between the hands. Drop the back heel. Baby toe parallels the back of your mat. Come into warrior two, cartwheeling the arms up. Good. And then first lift the heel of the front foot. So you're bringing that heel up and you're getting a little bit more into the sensation of the thigh. Good. Squeezing the feet towards each other. Let your knee go forward just a little bit more so it's right on top of your ankle, because almost always when we lift the heel is we start to pull back. Good. Keep that back thigh super lifted. Nice, you guys. Now drop the heel, lift and spread your toes, and try and find that feeling of dragging your front heel back towards your back foot so that you get a contraction through the back of that right thigh and up into your right butt cheek. Good. Nice, you guys. There's that feeling, right, that you can engage these muscles without it being something that limits you, without it being something that causes pain. Relax the toes, try and keep that feeling of engagement on the leg, drop the left arm down the left leg, right arm comes up and back, reverse warrior. Good. With anything that you do habitually, how you're doing it makes such a dramatic difference with the effect that it has. Beautiful, you guys. Stay in that lifted position or that reaching position, straight in the front leg, so you're coming into that reverse triangle. Good. Lifting the right hip point up off of your thigh. Pull up. Get taller. Yes, good, Lynn. And then come all the way back up, arms wide, letter T. Reach the right rib cage forward like you're coming into triangle pose, and then pause. So hold in that extended position. Not only so that you draw your ribs in, you rotate your left shoulder to the sky, but also so that you're drawing that right butt cheek under. You're actually wrapping it under around the sit bone. It's going to pull your knee a little wider towards the baby toe, and then press into the big toe mound of your foot. Good. Then let the right hand touch down. Let the left arm reach to the sky. Good, you guys. Don't let that right butt cheek start to flare open. Don't let the hips start to lose their stability. Good. That's what I mean by motivation, is that even in these moments when you're like, like I was really engaged in the pose for a breath or two, now I can just relax and do whatever, right? No. Right? That motivation that says, I want to find the peak. I want to find the fullness of this moment, and it's more than what I think it can be. I'm sure of it. So how do I find it? Right? Where's that sense of optimism that what is here is enough, but it's not all there is? Bend that knee again, please. Front knee bends. Release the hands down to the floor. Spin your back heel up. Drop that knee and then start to shift your hips back, left hip on top of left knee, right leg comes forward to straight, come up on the heel. Good. And you're digging down and dragging that heel back. So I want you to feel like by doing that, you're pulling the thigh up into your hip socket. You're lifting your butt up and back. So I should be able to see that when you really drag that heel back, your butt should lift, right? Your tail should lift up. Good. And then from that, you can lift the front of your pelvis also. So it's like you're creating this pressure through the back of your sacrum that's really expanding it. Good. And then keep that, but start to push out through the big toe mound of your foot. So push through the ball of your foot like you're pushing on a gas pedal. Good. So you have all the feeling of lengthening the back of the leg, but you also are pushing out. So you keep the calf muscle and the thigh working together. And then your hands walk forward to increase that stretch. Good. Increase the length. Nice, you guys. So the realistic desires that you have to go beyond what was handed to you, right? The real desires that you have to be able to take what was handed to you and turn it into something magnificent. That's that sense of optimism, is that whatever you've been handed has the potential to be something magnificent. And maybe it just takes a little bit of understanding or effort or turning things around on your part. But what you've been handed is already your abundance. Walk yourself towards that twist if you'd like. So moving towards the baby toe edge of that foot. So the left hand crosses over. Again, you can use a block underneath the hand, or you can keep the hand to the inside of the leg if reaching to the outside doesn't work. Turn your belly to the right. Keep that feeling of squeezing the legs together, active right butt cheek especially. Right arm comes to the sky or to your low back. Good. Yeah, don't think that by waving the arm in the right place, you're gonna find balance. It's all coming from, am I drawing my ribs in? Am I drawing in my low abdominals? Am I squeezing my legs together? Beautiful, you guys. And then slowly release your twist, come back to center. Good, drag that heel back in, come back to a lunge, step back, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Drop your knees to the floor for a moment, child's pose. Good. Forever rising. Your energy gets stagnant when your mind gets stagnant because it's just used to the way things are. Even if it's dissatisfied, right? It just gets used to it and says, can't possibly do something different. That's a lot of work. So that rising optimism is that same energy of, a plant that says, whatever, I'm going to reach for the sun because that's what I do. So where is that in you, that willingness to keep reaching into dark spaces, to keep reaching into stagnant places, to find a deeper breath, to find a calmer mind, to find the way to turn what you've been handed into something more, something great, or to just recognize that what you have already is great. It's a perfect place for your mind to be too. Good. Walk your hands back up to hands and knees. Downward facing dog. Good. Step or jump your feet forward to the top of your mat. So look forward. Nice jumps. Good job, Pam. Good. Standing forward fold. Nice job, everybody else who's jumping too. And good job stepping if you're stepping. Not a judgment. Good. Bend your knees, please. Take your arms up alongside your ears. Chair pose. Interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands out beyond the crown of your head, push out. Good, draw that low belly in. That's it. And then come all the way up to stand, press into your heels, reach long through the side body, press the tops of the thighs back, but let your armpits go back in space like you're dropping into a back bend. Reach, reach, reach. Good. And then come all the way back up, please. Nice. And release the hands back down to your heart center. So palm to palm. Good. So I want your feet underneath your hips like you would normally do, but I want you to come up on the ball of your right foot. So lift your right heel. Yep. And then I want you to bend your knees back into chair pose, stretch your arms up alongside your ears, but you're bending yourself back into chair with that up on the ball of that right foot. Good. Yep. And so here I want you to stay low in that chair pose. So draw your hips back, but I want you to scoop into your lower abdominals, use that right butt cheek, float your right toes up off the floor. Just hover them up off the floor. Oh, you shifted a lot to the left, you guys. Bring that foot back to the floor. No shifting. Yeah, keep your hips exactly where they are. You got to scoop into those butt cheeks. That's it. And then float that right foot up off the floor. Yeah. Oh, I know, it's hard. Good. And then release that foot flat to the floor, hands to the floor, straighten the legs and bow, standing forward fold. Yeah, and of course you all heard the conversation before class started about, contracting your glutes but not squeezing in towards your tailbone. So I want you to feel this, that if you can isolate what it feels like to contract your glutes on one side, then you have a different sense of what it means to contract your glutes. It doesn't always just mean I'm squeezing my butt cheeks together. Right? So there's a squeezing that is an elongating of the muscle, like it's like you're using the muscle lengthwise instead of pulling it in. Good. Hands to your hips, come up to stand. Could have had you come through chair though. All right. Lift the heel of your left foot, come up on the ball of your left foot. Bend the knees, come back into chair. So one-legged chair on the other side, arms up alongside your ears. So again, your hips are going back equally. So automatically, you know already that because you're not putting as much weight on that left leg, you all shifted your right hip out wide to the right. If you didn't know that you did that, you did. Pull your right butt cheek back and in. Keep that right knee pointing straight at the second toe. Already that's going to feel like it's more awkward. Good job. That's what this pose is called, awkward chair. Right? Scoop into that sit bone, scoop into that butt cheek, and then from your belly, lift your left toes up off the floor. Hover. Don't push yourself all the way to the right. I want your weight held on that right foot. I know, it's really difficult. Good, you guys. Yes. And then release that foot to the floor. Good job. Take your hands to the floor, straighten the legs and bow. You will remember your butt cheeks forever. Good. That's how I'm going to title this class on YouTube. Remember your butt cheeks forever. Beautiful. Bring your feet together, please. Big toes and inner heels to touch. Come up on the balls of your feet, both balls of your feet. Bend your knees, come into a squatting chair pose. So bring your hips down towards your heels. Good. And if that doesn't work, you can keep your heels flat and come into chair pose the normal way. Arms up alongside your ears. Good. If you're all the way down in that squatting chair pose, try and keep your knees together. Try and keep the legs squeezing together. Hands at heart center. Prayer twist, right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Yep. Nice. Keep those legs together. Beautiful. Turn your heart. Good, Andy. Good, Susan. Both Susans. Come back to center. Twist the other way. Still in that little squatting chair pose. Squeeze the legs together. Yeah. Nice, you guys. Good. And then bring it back to center, please. Fingers to the floor. Come on down to sit. Bottoms of the feet together. Knees drop open wide. Baddha Konasana. On Wednesday, I gave them the option to do twisting crow, revolved crow. So, if you're jealous about that, should have come to class on Wednesday. Inhale the arms up to the sky, please. Flex your feet, press your feet down into the floor so your toes are active. Good, arms up. And then start to send your pelvis forward. So tilt the tailbone back, send your sit bones back and wide. Bring the groins deeply down towards the floor as you extend. So reach forward, come into your forward fold, but do it from your pelvis. So you're not rounding your back forward to try and get somewhere, but you're tilting from your lower spine. So reach out as far as you can. Reach out. Keep reaching out. Good. Nice. And then let your hands touch down to the floor wherever they rest. Good. And then drag back on your hands so that your chest pulls forward even more. Send your butt back. Baddha Konasana. Good. That sense of optimism that wherever it is that you're starting, that there's more space to go. There's somewhere to go, something to go to. It's that feeling of ever rising, is that you never reach the top. You never reach the limit of that rising. They said it's eternal. So if you tap into that energy, it's constantly, it's always going the same direction, always expanding. So when your moments when things are heavy, when your moments when things are stagnant or stuck, or you're like, I don't even know what to do next, I'm not inspired, I'm not interested, can you tap into that? Walk yourself back up, please. Good. So separate your feet a little wider, come up on your heels. So it's like you're in a seated squat pose. So separate your feet maybe as wide as your mat, but come up on your heels. That's it. So knees are wide. And then walk your hands to the inside of the legs. Again, walk yourself forward, forward fold, but stay up on your heels. Yeah, so feet are separated, Crystal. Like you're literally in, like if you were in squat, but on your butt. Yeah, you got it. Up on your heels, toes up. That's it. Yep. And then walk yourself forward. Good. Squeeze your knees in, you guys. If your knees are falling all the way out like you're still in Baddha Konasana, you're missing the point. So draw those knees in, groins down. Right forearm presses up against right knee or right shin. So move that right arm out to press against the leg. Take your left arm up to the sky. Good. Keep squeezing your knee in towards your forearm. That's it. Beautiful, you guys. And then release and switch. Take the left arm to the inside of the left leg. Relax your shoulders down, right arm to the sky. Good. Keep those knees hugging in, please. As the knees hug in, you can push your inner thighs and your sit bones wider. Good. And then come back to center. Nice job. Beautiful. Straighten the legs out in front of you. Feet still as wide as your mat, or legs still as wide as your mat. Good. And then reach forward for your ankles or your feet or whatever part of your leg you can comfortably and realistically hold on to. So you've got something solid to hold on to. Deep breath in, lengthen your spine, straight arms, extend. Good. And then as you exhale, bend your elbows wide so your chest stays really lifted. Your shoulders actually engage and you're pushing out through the legs. So you're pushing down and out. Good. Scoop into your belly. It doesn't matter how far forward you come. What matters is, are you using your whole body to fold? Again, that's that feeling of ever rising. Are you using everything that you have in this moment? Or are you running off of that bare minimum of what's necessary? Don't just get by. The practice of abundance is you don't just get by ever. As you look for, where is every corner of what I've been given that I can use to realize the abundance or to create the abundance that I'm looking for? Walk yourself back up. Nice job. Good. Bring the feet a little closer together, please. Bend your right knee. Bring your right foot to the inside of your left leg, please. Yep. Let your right knee go wide. Janu Shirshasana. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Little twist to your left. Bow over the left leg. Good. Nice. I catch myself often these days when I feel run down or frustrated or wondering, how mundane and boring things have become or how used to anxiety I've become. It's so even worse. You get used to it. It becomes normal. I'm finding myself saying, well, there's, I can't see that there's anything I could reasonably be doing different. And then I hear a little voice in my head saying, you're a liar. You're not using everything you've got. You're not trying as hard as you could. Not even close. And that's what makes me think that maybe that's why I love that mantra, the Cherdi Kala, so much, is because it's a reminder that you're not using everything you've got. And if you're not using everything that you've got, then if you're dissatisfied with what's around you, it is nobody's fault that you haven't tried to find more of yourself. It's not even your fault, but now that you know, try. Expanding optimism, eternal optimism. Walk yourself back up. Switch the legs, take the right leg forward. Bend the left knee, bring the bottom of the foot to the inside of the right leg. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Little twist to your right and bow forward. So Victoria, just let your left knee drop all the way open. There you go. Good, you guys. Until you are using everything, keep expanding. Until you have turned every single part of yourself in the direction of maybe the greatest desire of yoga, that is to achieve or find that state of inner peace, equilibrium, equanimity, until you have put every ounce of your effort, every ounce of your awareness towards that. You're not done. Can't say it's not possible if you haven't put every ounce of yourself towards that goal. So don't stop. I'd said we practice continuously, and this energy of being continuously resurrecting yourself, continuously resurrecting that sense of optimism. It's huge. So we become too comfortable in our dissatisfaction. We become too comfortable in our anxiety and say, well, that's just the way it is. No, it's not. Walk yourself back up. Good. So bend both knees, please. Coming into fire log as your last little hip opener. So left shin is going to be on the bottom, right shin stacks on top. So if you can place your heel on the left knee, so right heel on left knee, do that. If that position does not work for you, you can bring the heel to the knee crease so the knees go a little bit wider. Or if that doesn't work, right shin in front of left with the feet flexed. Good. So those are a lot of your options. Nice. And then hands can either come behind you, just resting behind the hips, and you can stay upright or even leaning back, or you can forward fold here if that's a possibility. Make sure that you keep your feet nice and flexed so your ankles are in a nice supported line. You can always use props underneath the knees if you need. Good. And long breaths, not just into your hips, but across that space of the lower spine. Good. Eternal optimism. It's a very I said, a very common imagery in yoga that you offer everything into fire so it can be transformed. So that sense of optimism being also that feeling of resurrection that you have to keep transforming. You have to keep taking what is in front of you or what's inside of you, what you've been given, and turning it and turning it and turning it until it shows itself for the whole truth of what it is. Walk yourself back up, please. Good. Release that front leg or that top leg. So move that right knee wide to take it off of the left shin. Good. Stretch the legs out in front of you if you need for a moment. Give them a little bit of a shake. Take a forward fold if that feels good. It's nice to give the legs a little opposite action before coming into the second side. Good. And then as you're ready, set yourself up. Right shin is on the bottom, left shin stacks on top. And again, if it can be ankle on top of knee, do that. If not, it's heel into the knee crease, or it is left shin in front of the right, feet flexed. Good. And again, your options are hands can stay just behind the hips. You can stay lifted and upright, opening the chest, or even dropping back onto your hands, or you can forward fold. Good. And I want you to breathe, whatever position you're in, is breathe the wideness of your lower back. So if you're leaning back too far, you might feel like you're actually starting to roll back on your pelvis, which is going to actually give you less space in your lower back. So try to stay where your sit bones are nice and wide and where you don't have that feeling that you are arching in either direction of your lower back. You still want those groins moving down, even if you're staying upright. Good. Breathe wide. Like that little piece of your mind that's like the roots of a plant. Instinctually reaching for where there is nutrition, instinctually reaching for where there is sunlight. We have that instinct too. We're not different from nature. That feeling of optimism that if I keep seeking, everything that I need is going to be in front of me. Everything that I need is going to be present. Maybe I just haven't realized what it is I really need. find that optimism to keep moving forward. And then we find the triggers, the motivation, the things that are realistic in our life that convince us, get up and keep trying. Get up and keep moving. Don't just assume that whatever it is that you feel this moment is normal and stagnant and stable, that it's going to stay. Don't assume. Good. Walk yourself all the way back up. Nice. Unwind the legs. Take that top knee out and wide so you release the hip. And then again, extend the legs forward if you'd like. Give them a little shake. And then scoot yourself forward on your mat. Come onto your backs. Good. So bend your knees, because this was the object of the whole glute question in the first place. Bend your knees, plant your feet for bridge. Good. Set your arms in robot arms. Press into your feet. And before you go anywhere, drag your heels back, pull your butt towards your heels. Yeah, so just work that energy of the legs. And then pressing into the arms, start to open the chest. So don't lift your hips up yet, just arch the upper back. So draw the ribs up and keep that feeling of dragging your butt towards your heels. Now I want you to try and find, before you lift up, this feeling of contracting your right butt cheek. Just do the right one, contract your right butt cheek, and then let it go. And then contract your left butt cheek and let it go. Contract the right one, let it go. Contract the left one, let it go. Now contract both with the feeling that there's actually like a spacer in between them. So they can't pull together. They can just contract straight into the leg that they belong on. Now keep that energy, press into your feet, lift your hips up. Don't let your butt cheeks go into that squeezing towards your tailbone. Just keep them squeezing towards the thigh that they belong to. Drag your heels back, draw your thighs forward. Good. Press into your arms. Find the squeeze of your upper back, of your middle back, to lift your ribs higher. Good. Hips can go higher, but don't squeeze the butt cheeks towards the tail. Keep the sit bones wide, but keep the butt cheeks engaged. Good. And then for fun, right leg to the sky. This is how you know you're really using your butt cheeks. Good. Contract that left sit bone. Contract your left butt cheek. Nice. Release the right foot down to the floor. Left leg up. Make sure you contract that right butt cheek as you lift that left leg. Nice. And then release that foot to the floor. Deep breath in. And release the hips all the way. Relax the butt. Good job. Nice, you guys. So optional here, draw the knees in towards your chest. If you can, roll yourself back into plow, come back into plow. If plow is not going to work for you, you can take your legs just up to the sky and wrap your arms around the backs of your legs, and like you're in an upside down forward fold, straighten the legs, but drag your thighs towards your chest, towards your belly. Good. So you can hold behind the thighs. Maybe you can even hold behind the calves if your legs are coming close enough in. So either full plow, rolling back on the shoulders, or just legs straight, hugging in towards your chest. Use your arms to squeeze. Nice. Good, everybody. And then slowly release, come on back down. Bend the knees out into happy baby for a moment as you come down. So if you're just coming out of plow, make sure that your low back is settled first. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Good. Then come into happy baby. Yeah, and really let your knees go wide. Good. And then release, bringing the knees back in towards the chest, squeeze. Scoot your hips over to the left, drop your knees to the right. Spinal twist. Keep the knees on top of each other, so in line with each other, so that your right hip is going to be right on top of your left hip, and then open the shoulders however much they are able to go without compromising the stability of your pelvis. So keep the knees stacked. Good. And then come back to center, please. Scoot your hips over to the right, drop your knees to the left. Same thing, knees on top of each other and knees up towards your belly just a little bit more. So they should be in line with your hips or slightly higher. so that you're actually creating that long line of neutrality from your shoulders to your lower back. Good. And then come back to center, please. Hug the knees in towards the chest. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees. Squeeze. Yeah. And then slowly release, extending the legs out in front of you, palms alongside you. Let the feet drop open. Let your palms face up. Cherdi Kala. And you feel that there is a ever rising feeling of optimism. In the most challenging or deeply restrictive or dark moments, there's still an instinct to turn and look for where is the light. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath, allowing your body to begin to stretch, move, whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest. Roll to your right side. And then take a moment there before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm, or whatever mudra has been serving you. So I think it's funny for me that I started on Wednesday talking about how that realistic motivation for me is actually things like competitiveness. But then the universe said, really, is that what is motivating you? And it threw that mantra at me, right? And I remembered how much I loved it and finally said, maybe I should look it up, right? Maybe I should look up the things that I love and find out what they are. And that feeling of overwhelming optimism, that feeling of there being a state of being that is eternally optimistic, that is eternally reaching for the brightest, the biggest, the most. That's what the competitiveness is. It's just the embodied version of that, right? Of the looking for where is the biggest, the most that I can be. So can you take whatever it is that is your motivation, the things that are the realistic, this gets me out of bed, this keeps me moving in my life, and then look at it bigger, brighter. Shine a light on it so that you see what it really is, because I guarantee you're not seeing all of it. I guarantee you have not seen barely a glimmer of what you are. So can you keep shining that light on whatever it is in the embodied form pulls you forward, so that you can see it in its full form. And once you can see it as that, you see yourself as that, that's the realization. That's the enlightenment. You don't need anything else. That's what you've already been given. And that's what we hear over and over again, that what you've been given already is the abundance. But you have to use it. So every ounce of your effort, every ounce of who and what you are, put it towards that realization. And until you've done that, no complaining. Until you've honestly done that, no complaining about anything that's in front of you. That's our practice. So Cherdi Kala, that eternal optimism, you can do it. In the moment that you are sure that you can't, you remember that word, you remember that phrase. Eternally optimistic, you can do it. But you got to try. We'll close with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend. If I don't see you, remember your butt cheeks forever. Use them consistently. They will help create, solve many structural issues. So use your glutes. I'm going to unmute you.